Ignore that. I ran into a wall. So today we're going to be going back to a part of internet history that I feel like just as quickly as it came by, it quickly went away. It's the silicone sponge. Now, I was in Myeongdong the other day to go meet my friend Jade, and while I was there, it was an accident. I ran into my friend Seungmin, and he was with a friend that happens to be a beauty blogger. And we were passing by Myeongdong because I think we were on our way to Starbucks. And basically we're passing by, we were in Myeongdong on our way to go to Starbucks, and we passed by Espoire. He was like, oh, have you tried the sponge from Espoire? I was like, no. He's like, oh, the silicone sponge. I was like, no, I hate that shit. I tried it, it didn't work. I felt like for most people it didn't work, and for those people that really, I don't know, I really don't think it works at all. But he was like, oh, but the one here is actually really good. So I was like, you know what, let's try it out. So I went in, and they had the little tester thing, and I grabbed one of the foundations that were there, and I tried it, and not gonna lie, I was like, this is really good. Even with the original Silla sponge, I tried it on my hand, I was like, this is gonna be shit. But we're gonna be using the Espoire version. This is the packaging that it comes in. This is the Espoire Tight Touch silicone sponge. It's supposed to help spread the amount of liquid cream products with a healthy glowy finish. It can be washed over and again, blah, blah, blah. And the main difference that I noticed between this and the original Silly Sponge is that it's more of like, it's more matte almost. Like it doesn't feel as shiny and like, I don't know, I can't describe it. It's just more matte. Like it feels like a different type of silicone. Sorry, I keep changing the fucking lights. I'm like not happy with it, the way it's looking. But the main difference that I noticed was that in the back of my hand, what it helped was, because it's not a sponge that absorbs product, it helped push the product into the lines. So I have a feeling that when I use liquid foundation with this, it's gonna really push everything like into the skin. I haven't used the original silicone silly sponge in a long time, so I don't remember. I have a review on it, so you can click up here to go watch it, but I just remember not liking it. It just didn't blend the product properly, and because with sponges it absorbs some of the excess product, so you're left with more of just like the pigment, I suppose. So that's the whole like appeal with silicone sponges, is that they help you use less product but keep more of it onto your skin because it's not absorbing anything. So we're gonna give it a fair chance by testing it with 2, 4, 6, 8 different products. I'm gonna use liquid foundations, a cushion because it's in the shape of cushion puff, cream products, and concealer. But I'm also curious as to whether or not it works better or not with, depending on like if it's a glowy finish or like a matte finish. So for each type of foundation, I have a glowy version and more matte version, I guess. And they're all nearly pony effect, only because a lot of our base products come in like a glowy version and the matte version, and I have them in like the same color, so I felt like it was more fair that way. So on this set, I'm going to be doing the matte foundations. This is the Cover Stay foundation. Not gonna lie, I kind of cheated. I did try, like one day I woke up in the morning and I was really excited to use it, but I didn't film that day. So I tried, before I washed my face for the day, I just tried it, and it gave me a feel for what it does. So definitely you only need a little bit. We're talking like, we're gonna start off with like that much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spread the product. And do you see how it's like, you can see my pores, right? But the more you kind of like push it in, push the foundation into the pores, and also of course patting. Oh god, did you see that? I guess the product is drying down, so it's pulling out my skin. It's really emphasizing my pores, but I feel like it's because I just need to go in with more product. Again, using like a droplet. So definitely have to work fast with this, but it just looks so much better than the other Silla sponge. This is ridiculous. This is what the other Silla sponge was supposed to do. With the original one, it was literally just making the foundation sit on top of the skin without actually blending anything out. But this one looks so much better. I do have to work it in more though, because that is amazing. And did you see how much product I used? Like nothing, but I still got like amazing coverage. I'm probably coming off like I'm sponsored or something, but I'm not. Oh shit, I think I put too much. But it's just that after having tested it on my hand in the Espoire store, I had a good feeling that it would work really well. But the foundation in the Espoire store was similar to this one in that it's more matte. So we'll see if it works any differently from the other formulas and if it works any differently with like a like glowy foundation. Because my chin is actually pretty dry. Oh my god, I was like not shaving properly. It's kind of causing that to be accentuated. Usually with this foundation, although it's more matte, if I use a wet beauty blender, it won't be as like matte because of that little bit of moisture in the sponge. But I think with the way that the silicone sponge is, I guess it intensifies that matte finish. So if you have a dry skin, you might not like this, but like you can see it right now. I use like no product at all, like literally like 3 dots, and that's even way less than I would use normally. But that completely just, why is like no one else talking about this? Alright, so now let's try the more glowy, dewy finish one. This is the seamless foundation, and also it's in nude beige. This one, the coverage is a little bit more sheer, so we'll see if, you know, we can build it up to some degree. On my one friend that has really good skin, oh shit, did I use fucking, oh my god, I think I used too much. On him, his skin is actually pretty good, so for him, it's more of a full coverage. He was like, oh my god, this is not full coverage, but I was like, that's like a tinted moisturizer on me. Let's see. You can see how like it's kind of gliding over the pores, but it's just blending it out. When you're doing the tapping motion, it's just blending it out way better. Of course, you need to keep tapping it because it's gonna leave like an indentation of like the puff in your skin. But the more you pat it in, the more it's gonna absorb into the skin and blend. So those will obviously disappear, but how much better that looks. This isn't even like a review, this is a first impression. I feel like it's night and day the results I'm getting from this and the original Silly Sponge. Like this literally looks like a finish that I would get from a sponge. Oh god. Shit, y'all have been sleeping on Espoire! Just kidding, so I It's almost like a MAC. Korean MAC almost. Dude, really? Look how... That still looks really good. It's still... I have a feeling a little bit like... didn't absorb it, but like... With this material, it kind of lessened the dewy glow because this can be a very glowy foundation. And it does say that it's supposed to leave you with like a glowy finish, but I don't really notice it. But the difference between the two sides is like... This is a slightly more glowy, less coverage, just a tiny bit less coverage. I'm gonna add like a smidgen more, just a smidgen. Dude, really? Look at that. Oh my god. In terms of foundation, it works amazing. This looks so good. I'm so happy with this. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Hopefully I'm the first person to have talked about this sponge and we can credit it to my... Actually, no, just kidding. It's because of that one guy that introduced it to me in the first place. Alright, let me cleanse this shit off real quick and then we'll go into the cushions. Yeah, I just use cleansing water to rinse that off really quick. Now I'm gonna go into the cushions. This is a matte finish cushion. And I think this would be really good actually. This sponge would be really good for cushions because I feel like out of all base products, cushions tend to run out the quickest, which is annoying. You know, when you're fucking struggling, you're like digging the shit out of like the sides. It's gotten to the point where you like literally have to pull this sponge out and use that. The struggle. Okay, again, I'm gonna try to go lightly because I get too much. Maybe start with that much. Okay, this is probably gonna take a little bit more building. Okay, alright, settle down, settle down. That sound though, it's very familiar. But you know what I'm noticing? Is that because of the way this is, remember how I was saying that it's almost, not mattifying it, but it's almost like it's setting really much faster than if I was using the sponge that it normally comes with. Now, in that sense, it probably makes all foundations more matte, which is a little weird because it says it leaves you with a glowy finish. But from what I'm sensing so far is that it sets the foundation quicker as you're applying it. I guess that will make your foundation application faster because it's setting quicker, but it's creating more of a matte finish. So that could be good, you know, Some people like that, some people want more of a glowy finish, but this is just as good so far with this matte cushion at least. This is... I'm feeling this. She's feeling it. Why is no one talking about this? So this is the more dewy finish one. This is my, like, maybe top 2 cushions. Love this. I recommend this to, like, everybody because it's just so damn good. But at this point, I have a good feeling that it's just gonna work just as well, if anything. Oh, did I even freaking mention the price? This shit is only $3,000. I only paid, like, less than $4 for it. I don't remember if it was because it was on a sale or what, but for a sponge that blends out your foundation beautifully and it's super easy to clean. You literally just wipe it with a tissue and you don't need to wash it ever again, and you never need to buy another sponge ever again. However, I do worry that it almost feels like this strap might break at some point. Just don't get too crazy. Oh, bitch. Okay, bitch. Okay. Alright. Sorry. Settle down. You're a little too crazy. That looks really good. You can still obviously see my freckles and my little hyperpigmentation spot. But that's why concealer exists. But overall, the finish... I got the coverage I want. Like, it looks smooth. It's, you know, glided over my pore. Well, it filled in my pores, so it made like a really smooth finish. But just as I suspected, it brought the finish more down to semi-matte, demi-matte, because otherwise this foundation is actually quite dewy. But you know, the trade-offs, like you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And of course, this fits perfectly in cushion case. Oh, love it! Now I haven't actually wiped the sponge clean since I started putting the foundations on, but I felt like all the product went onto my skin anyway, so I don't feel like it's affecting it. So the next formula we're gonna try is the cream foundations. These, I have 2 right here. One's a little bit more matte. One's not, it's not like dewy or anything, it's just a little bit more creamy. So the finishes aren't too different, but we'll see just to, I don't know, we'll just see, we'll see. This one is the Kill Cover Concealation Stick. This is, again, is the one that's a little bit more matte, a little bit. Like you can see the way it almost pulled at my skin, how it's a little bit more matte. Now with this one, I'm not exactly sure how much I should be putting, but we'll see how far this amount will take us. Do I swipe? Do I like pat? I don't know. You can see my pores a little bit more. It's not really like filling them in. Yeah. You can see it's like creating streaks though. Let me see if I can like push them into the foundation into the pores, and then pat her out. Let's see if we can pat out those streak marks. That helped a little bit, but I'm still really impressed. And again, it's still creating a matte finish, more so than I normally would get if I use like a brush or a sponge or something. Yeah, this is like way quicker. With a brush, I normally would like spend a little bit of time buffing. With this one, literally just pushes it into the skin, it sets it quickly, and I am fucking amazed, I swear to God. I don't really watch other YouTubers, like K-beauty YouTubers, that much, so I don't know if anybody else talked about this, but y'all need to hop on this. Because the idea of a silicone sponge that will help you save product, give you, good coverage, it's easy to clean. With a beauty blender, you gotta wash it every time. Well, I wash it every time I use it. So like the idea of a silicone sponge was amazing, but then we all saw what it did to our skins, and so here it is, and it still looks so good. I'm gonna wanna like use this with all my foundations now. This cream foundation is just okay. It's not as much coverage from before, like compared to this one at least. I never really reached for this one because I felt like the coverage is just like eh. You can see it's a little bit more creamy. And you can see where my pores, like you can literally see where my pores are, but then I can like push. That looks kind of disgusting to be honest, but we're trying to push the product into the pores and then pat it out. Okay, I probably should not have put that much. But I think with a slightly creamier finish and using this kind of surface, are kind of using this kind of tool that has this surface that doesn't absorb product, it helps spread it farther than this side, which is a little bit more matte, so it kind of stuck to where it was a little bit more. But with this one, I feel like it helps the cream move a little bit farther. But again, it's not absorbing any of the product. Oh my, this looks... Okay, now I'm probably sounding really fake now. Sorry. Oh my, I'm like covering my mic with this shit. Can you hear me? So that looks really, really good. It's all blended. It doesn't look... This is what... I keep saying, but this is literally what this Silhouette Sponge was supposed to do. And the fact that it has a strap makes it easy. With the Silhouette Sponge, it was really awkward holding it, and it kind of got messy like on your fingers because, again, a lot of the product was not going into the sponge. It was just sitting on the surface. You kind of like the way you had to hold, people were just like... So this is like a billion times easier. So there we go, both sides. Actually, I should do my chin. So there it is. Both sides, they both look so good. I'm so impressed. Like it gives me the finish of like a sponge, like a beauty blender finish. I didn't lose any coverage. I didn't have to keep building up a lot. I feel like at this point we already know how I feel about this. I think now we just have to test concealer. I didn't really cover my dark circles, so I'm gonna try this side. Again, this side I'm gonna use more creamy stick concealer. I usually use a color corrector under my eyes, but and not just like a concealer alone, because a lot of times as I'm blending, it will sheer out. Even if it's a super full coverage, it will sheer out a little bit. But because of that, it will cause the darkness of my dark circle to peek out a little bit and create more of like what looks like a dark, like a grayness under my eyes. So let's see if this blends this out without using any of that coverage. But people that follow my channel know that with the shape of my eye, there's always just going to be a bag that's caused by like the physical like anatomy of my eye area. But in terms of like the color, it concealed it pretty damn well. With that concealer, I would normally maybe go in with 2 layers, 1 layer blend it out and then like a little bit more, and then blend it out again. I still will probably use a color corrector to help brighten the area up. Now I'm going to try this concealer on this eye. This is the Airy Fit Concealer, and this is supposed to be the thinner version of the original liquid concealer. So with that, it is a little bit thinner in coverage as you're blending it out. It looks more natural, but it's a little bit sheerer. That actually worked a little bit better almost than the cream one. As I'm patting it in, the very bottom layers of that concealer starts drying from the bottom upwards. So if you have like a beauty blender and you're blending it, as it's drying, you're also taking away product because it's a sponge, obviously, so it's sucking some of that product. But with this kind of sponge, with not just this concealer, but any of the formulas, as you're patting and blending, the patting motion causes it to help set it, but it's not going anywhere because it's not absorbing the product. So as the concealer or foundation is drying from the bottom upwards, you're still keeping that product there, basically. So that definitely helps keep the coverage there, and it's not moving it anywhere, but it's still giving you that sponge-like finish. This one, at least, is giving you that sponge-like finish. You know what? I'm over it. I'm done. If you liked the idea of a silly sponge, but were turned away from like all the video, like I was fucking turned off by it, and like I swear every video I saw of it, they all hated it. For the people that I saw, at least, I really don't feel like I saw anyone that really liked it. Maybe at some point they'll be like, oh, it's actually working, but then by the end they're like, it doesn't look good. Like, it just never became a product where you look at it and think, oh, this is gonna replace my beauty blender. It wasn't. But this is one of the first times I've used one of these kind of gimmicky kind of products where I feel like I can actually use that in my routine. The Tight Touch, that fucking name, the Tight Touch silicone sponge, absolute A+, especially for the price. This was, again, I pay like less than $4 for it. So I definitely recommend it to like everyone, especially if you're the type to like really need to save on foundation and you need a lot of coverage and you just need, like it does well in like all areas. Because it still looks like skin. Even though I use a tiny bit of foundation, it helped that little bit of foundation or concealer go like a much longer way. That translates into you like saving money, obviously. You get a much more full coverage, but it still looks like a beauty blender finish, to me at least. And then in terms of cleaning, you literally just wipe it down. I sprayed some rubbing alcohol on this. It's good to go. Like you can use it. Like even using it with all these foundations, I didn't clean it once until now, and I still felt like there was not really that much product on this sponge. It was just all on my face. I really believe it has something to do with like the finish that it has. It's more of like a soft matte finish. I believe I haven't held the silly sponge in a while, but I think it's more of like a shiny silicone finish. That coupled with like the handle makes it so much easier to use, and it's more user-friendly. It's not messy or anything. I will say though, is that if you have a glowy finish foundation, it might cause it to be a little bit more matte. But I feel like most people enjoy a matte finish. Not everyone likes a dewy finish, especially for me with oily skin. Actually, you know what? Let me try it with this liquid highlighter. An issue I have with this highlighter is that it just can't, like the sponge, because I think it looks the best with like a sponge, but it just soaks up the product quickly. Anastasia recommends using it with like a brush, but that causes brush strokes in my foundation. So let's see. Okay, bitch. All right. Oh my god. And it actually looks so much more natural. It's not a super high gloss finish that you might normally get with like a regular application. But let me see if I can build it up. I only used like the tiniest bit. Oh my, that looks so pretty. Oh my god. No highlighter, and then with highlight. Oh, you know what? A plus for me. A fucking absolute plus. Hi, it's me back on another day. Probably doesn't look like it because I'm wearing the same shirt. Don't fucking judge me. But I thought I would actually like show what my makeup looks like after I had actually, because I was just testing with random foundation. So today I tried it with a matte foundation. It's this Chungsenwood one. In it you get like, there's like this little pump that foundation comes out of, and there's a cream concealer. It's more of a matte foundation. That's pretty much all I have on my skin right now. And then I have this Anastasia highlighter on because I do want a little bit of a glow to my skin. I thought like, oh, maybe, maybe it was just I got lucky or something, but it was fucking amazing. I even went out and bought my friends some because I thought it was so good. But there was an observation that I had. I noticed that especially with this foundation, was the way the puff, it really like pushes the foundation into the skin. And a concern that I often have with layering product, especially like liquid or cream products, I have to be careful because I feel like I'm gonna like move and rub my foundation underneath. But when I was applying the concealer after my foundation, I was worried that I would like move the foundation around, but that wasn't the case. It kind of stayed put, like this spot that I have right here. It probably doesn't look concealed, but it's concealed. It's just that there's like a shadow from like the hiddenness. I was almost trying to like push the cream concealer into that little dip in my skin. I was a little bit worried that I would move foundation, but that's not the case. It kind of just like stayed where it was. And so I kind of just, pushed it in, kind of spread it and then patted it. And it like, I can't get enough. I really can't. So I just wanted to come in and say that before I ended the video, but I am kind of curious as to how it works with setting powder. I always just either use the puff that comes with it or a brush, but I want to see how well this works with powder. There. Oh lord. Okay. All right. This is really weird. I feel like I'm just like, I should just be doing this. Wow. Holy, that sounded so fake. Wow. I actually tried it on the back of my hand, but I wanted to try it on my face on camera, and I'm actually really surprised. It of course took away the shine, the glow from my highlighter, but it really, oh my god. You probably shouldn't use as much. But I find, like, it doesn't feel like it makes sense to pat it in. It feels more, oh lord, it feels more natural almost to kind of blend it in this way. Uh-oh. I need to exfoliate. It's making my skin look dry. So I wouldn't say it's like terrible with powder, even like this kind of powder at least, but it actually doesn't look that bad. Actually, from a little bit far away, it really smoothed out my skin. My skin is shit already, so please understand I'm not gonna have like flawless skin because my skin is already shit. And this probably isn't actually made for powder. Like, it's not advertised to be used with powder, but it's not that bad. So there's what it looks like with foundation, concealer, powder, and all that. Thank you so much to Jjyukyume for introducing me to this sponge. He does have a Naver blog that I'll link it down below if you want to check it out, but it's all in Korean, so if you can't read Korean, then you might not care for it. But if you want to check it out, I'll leave it there for you to check it out. Actually, I heard he's a really big fan of me and also Trophy Cat and their music, so 감사합니다. Thank you very 감사해요. So
With that, I'll see you in my next one. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Bye.
It's not my fault.